When most people remember Tippi, they remember the cute guide character that explains puzzles. But that's not who she actually is. Because from the very first minutes of the game, something about her doesn't quite line up. Her dialogue doesn't match her role. Her emotions don't match her memory. And the person she reacts to shouldn't matter to her at all. Tippi isn't just a companion character. She's the entire tragedy of the story, hidden in plain sight. And after I asked you guys which character I should break down next, Tippi didn't just win the poll, she completely crushed it. So clearly I'm not the only one who felt like there was more going on here. Quick disclaimer before we begin. Nintendo never directly explains Tippi's inner thoughts. So this isn't claiming a canon answer. It's my own interpretation, loosely based on the game's dialogue and themes. You're always welcome to disagree and share your own personal take in the comments. So with that said, hope you guys enjoy my own take, and who knows, maybe it could give you possibly a new perspective on how you see Tippi, but also what the game could be possibly trying to tell you. At first glance, Tippi fits a very familiar role. She's the helper character, the one who explains mechanics and translates the world for the player. In most Mario RPGs, this role exists to support the hero. They give tips, provide exposition, and disappear into the background once the gameplay starts. And early on, Tippi appears to be exactly that. However, she wakes up with no memory. She doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know where she came from, but somehow she knows how the world works. She knows ancient legends. She understands pure hearts. She speaks like someone who's seen history unfold before. That is the first crack, because amnesia in stories usually erase knowledge. With Tippi, it only erases identity. Early in the game, Tippi tells us she remembers almost nothing. No past, no identity, no life before me, Merlin. And yet, she doesn't behave like someone empty, because throughout the first chapters, she reacts emotionally in moments that don't make sense for someone with no memories. Especially around Count Bleck. Whenever he appears, her tone shifts. It's subtle, but it's there. Not just fear, not just concern about the prophecy, there's hesitation. Almost like she's listening instead of reacting. Like part of her is trying to recognize something before she even understands what she's hearing. And what's interesting is she never asks the obvious question, why do I feel this way? The game, or at least in my opinion, never really gives her a line acknowledging it, but instead it lets the player notice it. And this is where the story does something really clever. It treats memory as two separate things. That being logical memory, information you can't recall, such as names, events, facts, and identity. But also emotional memory, feelings your mind remembers even when you don't know why. Tippi loses the first, but she never loses the second. Watch how other characters react to Count Bleck. They panic, they get angry, they challenge him immediately. They see a villain. Tippi doesn't. She pauses. Her dialogue softens. She sounds less like she's confronting an enemy, and more like she's confronting someone she should understand, but can't. And that hesitation matters, because if she truly remembered nothing, Bleck should feel like any other threat, but he doesn't. He feels specific. Personal. And the game never really highlights this with dramatic music or a cutscene, or at least not ones that I can recall. No character really points it out. No narrator explains it. The story trusts the player to feel that something is off long before the reveal ever happens. Before the game tells you who Tippi is, it lets you sense that she already knows, just not consciously. Most amnesia stories follow a simple rule. If a character forgets their past, they also forget how to feel about it. But Tippi doesn't. She loses information, not attachment. Which means she isn't forming new emotions during the story. She's rediscovering old ones. And there are moments throughout the game where it does communicate this, such as flashbacks, giving her headaches. And throughout the game, these flashbacks slowly but subtly make her memory return. But the game hides her truth inside normal dialogue. Listen carefully whenever she talks about love. She doesn't really describe it like a concept. She mostly describes it like a memory she can't place. Not love is important, but almost love hurts. Same with loss. Her lines don't sound philosophical, they sound personal. She speaks carefully, slowly. It's almost as if she's choosing words around a feeling she doesn't understand. And that matters because the player learns something before the character does. You sort of start realizing she's not reacting to the situation. She's reacting to something inside herself. Now the game does sort of explains this, but it also wants the player to subconsciously connect the dots. And then the reveal happens. But here's the key detail most people miss. Tippi doesn't react like someone hearing shocking information. She reacts like someone being released from confusion. Not fear, not disbelief, relief. That's the reaction of a person whose emotions were always correct, but also whose mind finally caught up. The reveal doesn't create her identity, it confirms it. Tippi wasn't searching for who she was. She was struggling to understand why she already felt it. Now here's something that's worth noting. Just think about how often you used her ability. Scanning enemies, finding invisible blocks, checking rooms. You were basically interacting with a mechanic dozens of times per chapter, so your brain stopped seeing her as a character. And to be honest, this could also be said about every other pixel in the game as well. And most players don't notice because the game doesn't really condition you to. Even though Tippi is the only pixel that gets the most backstory and dialogue, her ability is still heavily present. The more you use her to find hidden doors and read enemy stats, the more your brain categorizes her as a tool. And once a character becomes a tool, you stop looking at them as a person. So when her emotional story is unfolding right in front of you, you're focused on platforming. Super Paper Mario isn't really a story about stopping the end of the world. That's just the backdrop. At its core, it's about two people who already lost theirs. Because before the Chaos Hearts, before prophecies and dimensions collapsing, Lumir and Tiffany were already gone. Their bodies survived, their roles survived, but who they were didn't. Their identities were split, their memories were fractured, and yet somehow their feelings remained. And that's what makes Tippi's story truly tragic. She isn't just a fairy who forgot her past. She's someone who can feel something is missing, but doesn't know what it is or who it belongs to. She stands inches away from the person she once loved, listening to him speak, watching his pain, sensing his loneliness, and having no idea why it hurts. Every hesitation, every moment of concern, every time she shows empathy toward Bleck specifically, it's not coincidence, it's emotional memory surviving when everything else is gone. Tippi doesn't remember loving him, she remembers what love feels like. And Bleck doesn't just lose Tiffany once, he loses her twice. Once when she disappears, and again when she comes back and gets reincarnated. So when you replay the game, Tippi is someone who is not exposition, or not like a guy character, but more like someone quietly orbiting a truth she can never quite reach. That is, until the very end. And that's why Super Paper Mario hurts in a way most Mario stories never do. Because the tragedy isn't that the world almost ends, it's that for these two characters, it already did. At the start of the game, she wakes up lost. By the end, she isn't less lost because she learned something new. She's less lost because she finally understands what she was feeling the entire time. Tippi was never just the guide. She was the emotional core of the entire story. Hidden behind mechanics, hidden behind amnesia, hidden behind the assumption that helper characters don't matter. No wonder you guys voted for her and annihilated the poll. Because deep down, a lot of us knew there was something we missed. And if you enjoyed this kind of deep dive, I got a lot more planned. We actually just passed 100 subscribers recently, which generally means a lot to me. So I got a thank you video coming very soon to properly appreciate all the support you guys have shown on the channel. If you haven't yet already, please join the Discord. You can talk Paper Mario theories, challenge runs, polls, show art, or suggest future topics with me as well. We're really looking forward to seeing you over there soon. You can also follow my Blue Sky where I post updates before videos go live. Speaking of that, another character breakdown poll will be coming soon, so you'll get to help decide what we analyze next. And over the next few weeks, I've got some bigger videos planned as well, including a big Paper Mario retrospective video. So if you're interested, please make sure to subscribe right now. It gives me lots of motivation to keep moving forward. So with that, hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. We're only just getting started.